Hi, it's Travis White with a Persuasive Communication Tip of the Week. Let's talk this week about how we sort ourselves out physically and geographically, and as a result of that, the kinds of people we talk to. A book came out in the United States just a few years ago called The Big Sort, and it's talking about how we sort ourselves out along political and philosophical lines, not so much along ethnic lines in the United States today. So we often live with people who are of the same political persuasion, same philosophy as we are. And I think about this, I tend to be fairly liberal. As I think about my neighborhood in Denver, I live in a liberal neighborhood. So when I'm out walking the dog, when I meet people, when I interact with people, typically I'm interacting with fairly liberal people. Now I know where the conservatives live. They live over there, and there is a group of very conservative neighborhoods not far from where I live, but it tends to be that the conservatives cluster together and the liberals cluster together. So it tends to be that we reflect our own thinking in our living patterns, and we live with other people or near other people who have similar kinds of thinking patterns, political persuasion, philosophies as we do. In other words, we tend to live in echo chambers much more than perhaps we did 50 to 100 years ago. So it's much less along ethnic lines, much more along political, philosophical lines. So what does that mean? It means we live in an echo chamber. Now let me shift gears and talk about dementia research, something that's related here. A lot of people are concerned about things like Alzheimer's and dementia, and people as they get older are concerned about maintaining their mental acuity. So I have friends that do crossword puzzles, that learn foreign languages, that do Sudoku, trying to maintain their mental acuity. Some of the latest research says that if you want to maintain that mental edge as you get older, one of the best things to do is to read and understand or listen to points of view that you don't agree with. Points of view that contradict your fundamental philosophy or political persuasion. Because if you hear the same things over again, the same opinions, the same thoughts, the same kind of trends, you're simply reinforcing the same patterns in your brain. You're not stimulating other parts of your brain. You're not stimulating your thinking. You're not expanding and creating new connections, whether those be neuron connections or political connections. So think about where you live, how many people are of the same political persuasion as you, and how you can stimulate your thinking in a different way. And a third point here is the internet. One of the things about the internet is it makes it much easier for us to listen to or read only those things which we agree with. You can segment very, very precisely. You could be a liberal and you can read only liberal materials. You could be a conservative and read only conservative materials. It makes it easier for you to never hear a contradictory opinion. Unlike the old daily newspaper that I remember growing up as a kid, you had the editorial page, you had liberal opinions, you had conservative opinion, you had left wing, you had right wing, you had radical, you had middle of the road, you had a lot of different opinions on the editorial page, and you were exposed to all of them. The internet changes that fundamentally, so all you have to do, it's easy to select, it's easy to pick out only those opinion pieces that agree with you. So I'm predicting that because of the internet, we're going to have a huge wave of dementia in the future because people will be reading only those things that agree with them. So think about, as you think about persuasion, think about alternate points of view, think about things that contradict your political philosophy or your general philosophy of life. Think about expanding your horizons, thinking about using the internet not simply to reinforce your existing point of view, but to expose yourself to additional points of view. That will give you a richer view of the world, that will stimulate your brain and help you maintain your mental acuity, and that will help you be a more effective, more persuasive communicator. That's a Persuasive Communication Tip of the Week. See you again next week.